In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Good evening there, and happy Christmas to one and all, as they say. As you can see, I am wearing a Christmas hat, but the camera angle is rubbish, so you can barely actually see it. But I'm going to be honest with everybody. I'm not actually that bored, but I am aware that a lot of people are, and there's a massive day tomorrow. It's Boxing Day. We're, of course, myself, Jason, along with various other members of the community, will be watching and corresponding on the 3 p.m. kickoffs tomorrow. But, you know, at the end of the day, FPL does not stop, as Dan always likes to say, which brings me on to my special guest. It's Dan. Good evening, Dan. Happy Christmas.
Good. Yeah, happy Christmas, mate. Happy Christmas, everyone. I hope everyone's had a good day, not been too fretting too much about their team for tomorrow. But yeah, it is a big set of games tomorrow.
I've got another special guest with us, Dan. It's this little man here. It's the elf. If you want any tips, the elf will be able to help all. He doesn't say much, but you never know. He may be have a better captaincy option than me, to be honest, because my captaincy picks are absolutely tripe. Of course, last night, Dan, we had a big announcement from Jason, didn't we? If you don't know, he took a minus 16. Your immediate response on that?
Jesus, I might be able to catch him if he's taking a minus 16. But it'd be interesting to hear who you brought in, if you can remember.
I don't have to remember at all. I can bring it up for everybody to see. So, Jason, for anybody that doesn't know, the story was this. So last week Sunday, Jason had already taken a minus 8. He did. So get this, Dan. Right, I want to hear your response on this minus 8 to start with.
Okay.
Zaha, Ali, and Mousset out for Dendoncker, Cantwell, but this is why I did the minus 8. To get Aguero. Now up on screen is his team. Your immediate thoughts on that? So Zaha, Ali, Mousset out for Dendoncker, Cantwell and Aguero for the minus 8 to start with.
Well, I mean, obviously I can't see it on screen, so I'm on Discord at the moment. But when you were saying those budget players, I was thinking you were going to say Salah, who's going to bring Salah in.
Yep.
But when you said Aguero, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Because obviously Jason's had a good, as you'd like to say, history. Always think about the history. Jason's had a good history of Aguero in terms of using him as a triple captain last season in the double game week. And I think, well, he got a hat-trick against us, Arsenal, in a 3-1 victory. So, and I think the season prior to that against Newcastle, I think he scored like 4 goals or something stupid like that. So maybe Jason's thinking, well, Aguero's done really well for me in the past in FPL. Bring him back for a bit of Aguero magic. But is he going to start against Wolves?
Well, it's funny you say that, because whether we believe it or not, according to Pep Guardiola himself, this is what he actually said in the press conference ahead of this specific game. So, Sergio Aguero won't be in the starting lineup. In a rare out-of-character moment, Guardiola confirmed this in his Monday press conference that the Argentinian was not injured, considering his late appearance in Gameweek 18, but that he is not ready to play 90 minutes. Now, again, that doesn't... I'm not suggesting Pep Guardiola is trying to fool us or anything. It doesn't mean to suggest that he's trying to con us. But there is still a chance that Aguero will start. But based on those quotes, it looks like Aguero is going to continue staying on the bench while Jesus is playing. Your thoughts so far on Jesus?
Yeah, he's kind of is someone it was in my thoughts a bit, and he's come into form a little bit of recent. But I still think, like, if you look at your teams, it's like Vardy's still in that price bracket, that kind of, near high price striker, still a better option. But I do still get the feeling with him that once Aguero's fully fit, he'll be back in the team. Having said that, I still don't think he's quite the heir to the throne, so to speak. So, yeah.
Yeah, so he did the -8, and of course on Sunday afternoon, we all know what happens. Son went and got red carded. Jason went into
salt.
yeah. Jason went into meltdown mode. We all saw it live, and he revealed that he'd already done the -8, and he said, basically, to the words of the effect of, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to now potentially take a -12, 16. Well, he did a -16. And this is what he did, Dan, for the further -8. He got rid of Winston Reid and Son and brought in Mendy and Pogba. Your thoughts?
Okay.
Your thoughts on those two individuals? And just to make it for people listening on audio, the full team that Jason now has. And I complimented this team, but I caveat that by saying, but this is a -16. So his full team was Guaita, Aurier, Lundstrom, Mendy, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Maddison, Pogba, Sterling, Aguero, Vardy and Rashford. So yes, Dan, Mendy and Pogba. I want to more talk about Pogba actually, because we all know what Mendy can offer. I know we know what Pogba can offer, but he is always seems to be hit and miss. A lot of talk of the fact that when he came on for the last 20, 30 minutes or whatever it was, versus Watford, Man United statistics went up. So yeah, your thoughts on people, not just Jason, a lot of people like myself wanting to get in Pogba. I stupidly got in Maddison rather than Pogba. I wish I'd bought in Pogba, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, your thoughts on Pogba?
Yeah, well, I mean, I watched the game against Watford on Sunday afternoon, and when he came on, he definitely made a difference. There was one gorgeous pass, crossfield pass. I think it was to Rashford that he played, and it was like, wow, okay, because United had been really... They just hadn't... The creativity wasn't really there for them during the game, and when he came on, at least, like, they were putting pressure on Watford. I mean, it was 2-0, but, he was sort of supplying... He had a couple of shots as well, I think. So, I mean, with those games coming up, it's someone I considered. And obviously they've got Newcastle at home tomorrow. But like you say, yeah, he does have these kind of, like last season, this like purple patch or whatever, and then goes off the boil. So you're never really sure what to expect. But I think it's a good move. But I mean, obviously, like you said, the caveat is it's a 16-point hit. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But obviously, he's done stuff like this before last season, and it's paid off. So maybe he's just thinking the team needs a rapid overhaul. But yeah, I think Pogba's a good move, really.
So Dan, we've been going on for the last 14 minutes, and well, me and you have been going on for about 5 or 6 minutes or whatever. And I want to say cheers. I've got the old, you know what? It's Smirnoff vodka. I thought I'd say cheers to everybody that's watching this now. You really don't have to be watching this, but I thought, you know what? Let's have a couple of shots. I'm not going to take 16 shots per point hit that Jason's done, but I'll have a couple of shots. Like I said, I don't normally drink, and I will say hello to everybody in chat in a second. So let's go for the first vodka shot. It's going to kill me. I've literally just come back from gym, as you know, Dan. So cheers, everybody. And I'm not much of a Christmas man myself. I'm a bit of a Grinch, a bit of a Scrooge. But Dan, you are a fan of Christmas, though, aren't you?
Yeah, it's all about the turkey dinner, mate. Really. And just the chocolates and the crisps and feeling really full afterwards. And yeah, the weather's been nice down here as well today. So yeah, enjoy a bit of Christmas, mate. And but yeah, I've been thinking about my team a bit today as well, and just actually done my transfers in the last hour or so. So yeah.
Bloody hell.
How's the vodka? Because I can't see any of this, by the way. So I can just hear your reactions to it.
Chucking it down, yeah. It's burning my throat, basically. So let's just say hello to our regular community that join us as ever. And like I said, for everybody that's watching this now, remember tomorrow I'm guessing we're going live from about 5 to 3 tomorrow. We will be covering the 3 p.m. kickoffs for the Premier League. Obviously, thanks to Amazon Prime, we all get to watch it. We are going to get various correspondents on. The more the merrier, really. By the way, just to make this announcement now, that if anybody wants to come on for a chat with me and Dan, by all means, I know we previewed yesterday, but I do like to hear Dan's opinion on the fixtures. I want to hear his thoughts on the Arsenal game, particularly being an Arsenal fan. And of course, the big game with Leicester versus Liverpool. We had, of course, Juggernauts, Flapjack and Hot Sauce, FPL Hot Sauce on last night. And Juggernauts and Flapjack are going for a convincing Liverpool win, which surprised me, but we'll get Dan's thoughts on that in a minute. But Davey P, of course, welcome, one of our moderators, but he'll be one of our correspondents tomorrow looking over the Chelsea game. Gravy Dave, I know you're apparently bored at work and you're kind of wanting somebody to do some form of stream, and here we are, my friends. So hopefully we can get you through the next X amount of hours that you're doing. Nasty Balls, of course, doing good evening there, doing exceedingly well in our Cashman League. I think he's 3rd or 4th. I can't specifically remember now, but he's doing very, very well indeed. Sultan Saeed, another one, doing absolutely exceptionally well in our Cashman League. Michael Foley, FPL Boomer, of course, is here. Bilal, Alpha 9, Uncle Juicy TV, Phil's here, Cy Bellamy's here. Ian Kamar, Paul Sweeney, Mark Barine. Dereko's here. Good evening, Dereko. Did you get to the gym today? Of course, the gym that you and I go to is open 24/7. So hopefully you got in a bit of a pump, as they say. It's Raw 12. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to many, many more. Samir, Julius, Chris Judge. You're all here. You're all on a Christmas night special with myself and special co-host Dan. Immediate saying, Chris Judge, you should be drinking that vodka out of an Elite FPL cup. I used mine today as I got it for the manager of the month last year. Good lad. Good lad. And good evening, Dre Zera there. And like I said, good evening to everybody. Yeah, someone's just mentioned just now it was... let's just give them a quick name check here. Gravy Dave, of course. Them two bodies mean a 3-hour stream. Absolutely no chance in that. But Dan, the question for you is, are you looking forward to the Boxing Game fixtures? And is there any games which are standing out for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it's jam-packed full of fixtures. I think Leicester-Liverpool is the game that does really stand out as the 8 o'clock kickoff. And I have to admit, it was quite tempting to captain Vardy at one point. And I've also got a bit of a dilemma in the sense that I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold and I've got Kelly and I've got... I don't know, I've got to think whether Trent's going to kind of get a haul or get some sort of returns away to Leicester, because I think it's going to be a tie. I don't think Leicester are going to lie down and die. I think it's going to be... could be the game that, maybe let Liverpool slip up.
Yeah, like I said, so we'll just quickly go through what you think. If you want to give us a specific score prediction, by all means. But we kick off with Spurs versus Brighton. I think this is going to be a tight game, personally. I went 2-1 to Spurs. It wouldn't surprise me if it ended like 1-0, 2-0 to Spurs. But Spurs, of course, they lost to Chelsea. They've lost to Man United. It's the usual story with Mourinho. He can't seem to beat the so-called traditional top 6 teams and everything. They're up against Brighton that, of course, beat them 3-0 earlier in the season. How do you think Spurs are going to bounce back in this particular game at home?
Yeah, I think Mourinho will be because he seemed furious on Sunday. And, I mean, in the game on Sunday against Chelsea kind of outrun them in midfield, really, and Willian and they were just kind of all over them. Spurs were just kind of running into blind alleys and just not getting, excuse the pun, but not getting anywhere. But I think with this game being at home to Brighton, I know Brighton have having a good season, but they have been conceding goals away from home. And I mean, I might as well reveal a transfer that I've done. So I've taken Tammy Abraham out, and I've taken Son out, and I bought Harry Kane in. So I am hoping. Yeah, captain. I did this in the last hour because I was kind of bored, sort of killing time in that and thinking about my transfers. And I was just going through so many different permutations. I just thought he does seem to do well over Christmas. I read this on a well-known fantasy football website the other day, and still a decent set of fixtures coming up for Spurs. So in this game, I'm hoping, well, not hoping, but I say 2-0 Tottenham.
I read talking of statistics, I read a stat that Kane has blanked in 5 out of 6 fixtures under Mourinho. Does that not concern you at all? Of course, I was renowned for somebody that owned Kane. Of course, I take him out the second that he goes and scores 2 goals against, ironically, my own team, Burnley. But it just does nothing for me whatsoever, Harry Kane. You are pretty confident then he's going to give you some returns. I mean, I've got your team up on screen at the moment, and you've got Mane, you've got Vardy, you've got De Bruyne. They're not tempting you at all? I mean, it's an early afternoon kickoff as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's going to be a reaction from Spurs after it was a very disappointing performance against Chelsea. I mean, those stats do concern me a little bit, but I've just kind of looked at my position in the obviously the Cash Mini League that we take very seriously, as we say, and my rival was above me, and I've just gone. I suppose you could say I've gone for a calculated gamble in that sense, really, and because of Brighton's recent poor defensive away record, that he can take advantage. The whole half-12 thing, I don't know. I mean, obviously the last half-12 game on the game week prior that's just passed was Arsenal-Everton, and it was absolutely dire. So maybe that could factor in, but I don't know. I've kind of gone for that now. I mean, we'll touch upon the other games as we go through them, but got till 11:30 till tomorrow to change it. But I'm just Well, I hate saying this about Tottenham. This is what FPL does to you. Hope that your rival teams can do something. And in an ideal world, Brighton win 3-2 and Harry Kane scores a brace. But yeah, just hoping that this will pick up a bit, really.
Yeah, in the Premier League, so I like my patterns, as most people know. And as it stands right now, Harry Kane's pattern is this. It's Liverpool away, he returned with a goal. He didn't play versus Everton. So let's just say blank, return versus West Ham. Blank, return versus Burnley. Blank. So it looks like he could return based on that pattern versus Brighton. So moving on to your team, Arsenal versus Bournemouth. Now, we all know that Bournemouth seem to like putting up a good fight versus the top 6 teams. And let's be honest here, the statistics, there's been 22 goals scored in this particular fixture. 15 of them have been for you lot. The last time this season that you played, you beat them 1-0. I'm predicting a tightish game. I think you're going to pull through based on the Arteta effect. But as an Arsenal fan, your thoughts on this particular game?
Yeah, it was such a dull game on Saturday after all that build-up against Everton. And, obviously it's Arteta's first game. Bournemouth, a couple of injuries at the back. Obviously Rico that I've got, he's suspended, and Ake still seems to be out injured. So that's obviously a blow for Bournemouth. Lost to Burnley 1-0, late goal. Be deflated from that. But this is the thing with Bournemouth. It tends to be the case that you write them off and then they come back. And after the Arsenal game, got some good fixtures. So it's a tricky one because, as I say, they beat United 1-0 and they beat Chelsea away 1-0. So like you say, they seem to be able to build, put up this brick wall. Be interesting to see the starting lineup tomorrow for Arsenal, because the starting lineup against Everton was a lot of younger players, and your Smith Rowes and Martinellis and sort of young players playing. There's quite a bit. It's all worrying before the game, but they seem to equip themselves quite well. I'm going to go new manager. I'll say 2-1 to Arsenal. Try and think positive.
Surprise.
Don't put any money on it though.
Yeah, surprise. Jason went 2-1 to Bournemouth. Flapjack and Juggernauts went for a 0-0 and a 1-1. Do you see this game being a draw?
Yeah, when you said about the game, I was like 1-1 in my head. It could be. I mean, our away form, our form in general isn't great, but our away form over the last couple of years has been poor. So, and just the fact that Bournemouth seemed to raise their game against the, traditional top six or bigger teams, if you like. So it will be a tricky one, but I just hope the fact that we've obviously got a new manager in, maybe he might give Lacazette a start, and Lacazette will be one and a prove point possibly. They'll take a good support down there as well. So trying to think positive, but if you gave me a free bet, I probably would go for 1-1 draw, if I'm being honest. Not going to keep a clean sheet again. Not 2 games in a row.
Well, talking of regarding Everton, of course, their first home game for Ancelotti. They're at home to us. I think this is going to be a bit of a not quite a walkover. I think it's going to be a very tough game for Everton, but I think they are going to get 2 goals. Hot Sauce predicted 2-0. Flapjack 2-0. Juggernauts 2-0. Jason went 1-0. Your thoughts on Everton's, Ancelotti's first game in charge officially for Everton up against us lot Burnley?
It's another new manager after an interim manager. So, it's quite a coup for Everton to get Ancelotti. AC Milan and Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain, Napoli, Chelsea, the list goes on. So, and he seems to quite like the look of Moise Keane as well, obviously being sort of fellow Italian and whatnot. So that could be one to watch potentially, because he was sort of talked up at the start of the season. Be a tight game. I think it will be... I'm going to go 1-0 Everton.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very tight game indeed. I don't think that... Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a walkover, but I do think that Everton should come through this pretty comfortably indeed. In fact, you mentioned Moise Keane there. Let's just say, for argument... I said this about Aguero, funny enough, for Jason. When he revealed that he brought in Aguero, I said that if Aguero scores, everybody's going to be bringing him in. Moise Keane, if he was to score tomorrow, do you think that he would be on people's minds, considering what you just said, that Ancelotti has praised him and everything?
Definitely, yeah. I have to say, at the start of the season, he was in one of my initial drafts, but I seem to have, lots of players in my initial drafts right back in August, back in the summer, because he came obviously from Juventus with, a good Italian international, obviously played for the biggest club in Italy, and he's not really lived up to it at all. Early season, missing a couple of chances, and then obviously at Old Trafford, he got bloody subbed on and then subbed off. Not too far after, and he wasn't happy about that, and then he came on against us quite late on, but couldn't get past the brick wall that is David Luiz. So, but it is that sort of time of year. If he gets some good returns tomorrow, maybe. What price is he at? Is he 7.1 or is he 7 million?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'll find out in a second. But One Rover's vlog, so Charlie saying that Richarlison will be playing on the wing. They have a lot of injuries in the midfield at the moment, and Ancelotti actually wanted to sign Moise Keane at Juventus. So maybe Keane could potentially be an option for us FPL assets, like the FPL players, if, and it's a big if, he was to show some signs of life tomorrow. I mean, he's 6.4, Dan.
Oh, wow, okay. Jesus, yeah, he has dropped. Yeah, apologies for the bad language on Christmas Day. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what he does against Burnley. I mean, I think it will be a tight game, but if he does get a return there, I mean, I don't know what Everton's fixtures are looking like, but new manager, fresh start, could be one to watch. I think it's one to watch.
Well, interesting. You mentioned their fixtures here, so I'll just quickly roll off the next 5 or 6, and they are green. So Burnley at home, Newcastle away, Man City away, Brighton at home, West Ham away, Newcastle at home. A lot of people, and I saw that Block FPL is thinking of this particular individual. I'm thinking of Mason Holgate, but let's just say any defender really. But Mason Holgate is only 4.4. But any defensive asset from Everton, are they worth looking at, or do you just think nope, just hold back and let's just see what comes about?
I think just hold back and see really, like you say. I mean that's a good price. Another, as I call them, budget defender to throw in, you know, amongst the likes of Tomori and obviously King Lundstrom as well this season, because that's where all the good returns seem to have been from, is the budget defenders. So, yeah. I mean, in terms of Ancelotti, from remembering watching Chelsea back in the day when he was manager there, it was quite attacking, but yeah, we'll have to see. But there's a decent set of fixtures, to be fair. So another one to watch as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned Man United earlier on regarding Paul Pogba, and they're at home to Newcastle. We had incredibly juggernauts expecting a 4-0 victory to Man United. Jason said 4-0. FPL Hot Sauce, he originally said 4-0, then he turned it to 3-0. I can't see it being such a high scoring game. I've gone a 2-0. Flapjack went 1-0 to United. Your thoughts on this Man United at home to Newcastle?
Yeah, I mean, they've got, in the reverse game, obviously it was 1-0 to Newcastle.
Well, actually, it's been 1-0 the last 2 fixtures. Yeah,
so they've done that. But, I mean, I'm looking at the injuries for Newcastle. Lascelles, Kieran Clark, Matt Ritchie, Alan St. Maximum, if that's how you say his name, Kisu Young. So they've got a few players out, but I don't think United are just going to go out there and batter them 4-0. I think, like you say, be a relatively close game, but I'll say 3-1 to Man United.
You're expecting this to concede. We're talking of conceding. Chelsea, of course, they look on paper to be having a favourable fixture. They're at home to Southampton. Once again, I think it will be a comfortable game for Chelsea, but I don't think the score line will reflect it. I've gone 2-1 to Chelsea. I think they'll concede a really sloppy goal to you-know-who, Danny Ings. People, of course, have got Tomori in, like yourself. Are you expecting Chelsea to keep a clean sheet ahead of this particular fixture?
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping so, really. But like you say, Danny Ings is bang on form at the moment. He's been another one on my short list that I've been considering. So, you know, obviously that clean sheet at Spurs, I had him on the bench for that game, so it's quite frustrating. I've taken Abraham out, and I'm starting to worry about that because of his record against the sort of smaller teams before. But that confidence, because Chelsea had been in a really bad run before then, and having watched them actually play, I mean, Willian played really well, Mason Mount, they're all linking up, and I think Chelsea will get the job done with that confidence boost. I'll go 2-0.
Last year, of course, I was famously somebody that I say punted on Hudson-Odoi. I got in Hudson-Odoi. He actually did okay for me. This year, I of course went for him again. He did okay for me. Do you think that he's worthy of a start ahead of, say, Willian or Pulisic?
No, not really at the moment, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought Willian, obviously the goal, he's had some decent returns of recent. And it could be the case of Hudson-Odoi. Obviously got the FA Cup game coming up in January, whether he plays in that game and then does well in that game, because he did well in the FA Cup last year. And if he does well in the FA Cup, maybe he can push for a Premier League start, and there'll be, with the fixture congestion, some rotation. But I think, at the moment, that midfield looked really strong. See Kante, Jorginho, Mason Mount, Willian, they really dominated Tottenham, really, really controlled the possession. And, Pulisic, obviously one I took out this game week just gone, and he was, benched because he'd been very ineffective in the previous games. So at the moment, I think it's the old boy Willian that's ahead of the pecking order, really.
Now, moving on to arguably, well, there's no argument about it. It's pretty much a fact. Leicester versus Liverpool. Now, my opinion on this particular fixture is that I think that Leicester should be coming into this game with a lot of confidence and saying to themselves, look, if we win this game, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, if they were to win against Liverpool, they're 7 points behind Liverpool. Is that right? I can't remember how many points.
Well, it's 10 at the moment, so yeah, we'll be
7, yeah. I think Liverpool are there for the taking, if I'm honest with you. We'll get your opinions.
Although, Liverpool got a game in hand. Sorry to interrupt. Liverpool got a game in hand, so...
Of course, yeah. But as it stands right now, it'll be 7. But albeit it was a makeshift team in the first game versus Montenegro or whatever they were called in the World Club Championship tournament versus Flamengo, again, it was a full strength team virtually and flat to deceive. They just about got through it. As it stands, Liverpool are just about scraping through particular fixtures and everything. And I honestly think that Leicester are going to win this. I think they should win it. I've gone for a tight 2-1 victory to Leicester. Jason went for goals galore. He's gone with 3-2 to Leicester. FPL Hot Sauce, he thinks they're both going to cancel each other out with a 1-1. Flapjack and Juggernauts, respectively, went 3-1 and 4-1 to Liverpool. They think that they're going to batter Leicester. I really do think that if Leicester want to show their credentials and say, we're not just up there we're up there for a reason. We're second for a reason, and their record against the top 6 this season has been pretty poor. Okay, they beat Arsenal, they beat you lot, but let's be honest here, Dan. Arsenal aren't the Arsenal of old. They beat Tottenham when, of course, Tottenham had their issues under Pochettino. But against the other teams, not that great. They lost, of course, 2-1 to Liverpool last time out at Anfield. Now, by pure coincidence, the last time Leicester beat Liverpool was actually 2-0 on Boxing Day a few seasons back. Can Leicester repeat that? Or do you think that Liverpool are just going to be too strong for them?
It's tricky. Well, it's going to be... I think it'll be a really good match, actually. I mean, Leicester... I watched the game against Man City, and Man City deserved to win, but they obviously look very dangerous on the counter-attack, and obviously Vardy getting his goal. I mean, Liverpool going to be coming back from Qatar. Like you said, they got the job done. They won the trophy, and that's obviously a massive, confidence, morale booster, as they say. But Leicester got a doubt over Harvey Barnes, and he was quite involved on Saturday evening in the good moments that Leicester had in that game. So, I don't know, it's an evening game as well. I've got my thing about the evening games, and I know I think it was an evening game when Leicester beat Liverpool those couple of years ago. So, I'm gonna sit on the fence a little bit, and I'm gonna go a 1-1 draw.
So,
I think because Liverpool will be happy with that, wouldn't they? So,
Liverpool would be happy. Leicester would be very, very... Well, if I was a Leicester fan, I'd be very disappointed. And like I said, I think that Liverpool are there for the taking. Now, obviously, you mentioned the fact that you were considering captaining Vardy. You've got Vardy and Maddison up against Trent Alexander-Arnold. You know, I would argue that one of the safety picks of the season so far has been captaining Vardy every single week, give or take. Can we? I mean, there's obviously your team, your ideas and everything, but are you persuaded to go with a Vardy captaincy ahead of Kane, or are you stuck with the Kane captaincy?
I think I feel more comfortable with the Kane captaincy ahead of the Vardy one. But, I mean, obviously Vardy's on, you know, everyone knows he's on fire this season and has been scoring against the top teams as well, scored against Liverpool in the past. It just, you know, at the end of the day, Steve-O, it's like Kane's at home to Brighton, Vardy's at home to Liverpool, who are going to be the champions of the league this season, barring a miracle. So, yeah, it's a tough one because Liverpool's defence has been, like I said, they've been getting through games. Like away to Villa, they won 2-1. I mean, in the reverse fixture of this game, they only won 2-1, actually, and that was a late, well, literally like a last-minute penalty in injury time. James Milner, Mane won the penalty. So, yeah, I think, I don't know, I feel the fact that I bought Kane in at 11 million, taking Abraham out, I feel like I need to justify that to myself by making him captain, if that makes sense.
No, I completely understand that logic. Julius has mentioned the point that he thinks that Liverpool are going to go the whole season unbeaten. Are you worried as an Arsenal fan that, of course, a team which are notorious for the Invincibles, do you think that potentially could be matched by Liverpool, if not bettered, because of their record?
No, I think Liverpool will lose a game this season at some point. I think, do you know what? It could come at the end of the season when they've basically won the league and that competitive edge kind of slips. Remember when we did it, we had games against, like, I think it was Portsmouth was the last game of the season, and Portsmouth come very close to beating us. I think Lehman saved a one-on-one from Yakubu. There's a throwback for you. So... right at the end. So yeah, I think that's when they'll slip up at one point. But I mean, yeah, obviously Liverpool been, you know, amazing this season, and I feel like saying worthy champions. It's only December, but I don't think they'll slip up in a game that matters. But I think just towards the end of the season, there might be, you know, the competitive edge might sort of slip a little bit, and they might come up against a team battling, you know, to stay in the league or something. And yeah, that's just an Arsenal fan holding on to memories and hoping it doesn't get overtaken by them. So we'll see. That's what we've got to hold on.
The final fixture that we'll cover, I'll start with a bit of a political question, because I know you do like to talk about things like this. And me personally, I'm a bit disappointed that the Wolves Man City game isn't actually on Boxing Day. It's on the following day, which is Friday. Do you have an opinion on that, or do you not really care?
I bothered me really. I mean, obviously I guess it's the TV rights and all that sort of malarkey. Amazon wanted to. I'm assuming that the game's on Amazon.
Yes.
Man City. Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's probably that part of it. You know, obviously Leicester, Liverpool, but everyone wants to watch that wherever they are, and then Wolves, Man City. So yeah, should be another tasty game.
Well, interestingly enough, when I was doing the history for this particular game, in it, over the last 6 fixtures, there have been 5 clean sheets for both teams. 3 of them for Wolves, 4 of them for Man City, that being because there was a 0-0 draw. These games do seem to be very, very tight indeed. Of course, Man City lost at the Etihad to Wolves 2-0. Traore with both goals and Jimenez with 2 assists. Do you see a repeat of that scoreline, or do you think that Man City, like a lot of people, think that Man City are actually going to beat Wolves?
Yeah, I mean, that obviously beating Leicester was a big win for Man City, and then obviously they thrashed us the weekend. So they scored 6 goals in the last 2 games. I mean, Wolves have got a decent record against Man City. I mean, like you said, the 2-0 win this season at the Etihad. And then last season, it was 1-1 quite early in the season, actually. And I think Bolly scored with a handball or something more early on in the season. So I think Man City, with that, you know, like I say about form and form lines and everything, I think they'll get the job done. Traore's an interesting one. I was speaking to a Wolves fan the other week when I was near that neck of the woods, and he was bigging up Traore and saying how, you know, he's living up to his, you know, obviously he's got the pace and the potential. He's actually living up to that this season. But I think Man City will win, and it'll be. I'll say 2-1 Man City. That's simple.
Yeah, I said the same. I think it'll be a tight game. I think Man City will just edge this 2-1. Now, you've, of course, like with 50% of the game, own Kevin De Bruyne. Again, I know I've spoke to you about Kane already, and the fact that you've already mentioned that you've brought him in. You think you've got to justify it by captaining him. Kevin De Bruyne, he does seem to turn up in the big games. And I read somewhere that Wolves aren't looking that great defensively. Can Kevin De Bruyne take advantage of this? Especially the fact that David Silva's still injured and he's still going to play that advanced role. I'm somebody that was tossing and turning between De Bruyne and Vardy as captaincy. Would I be mad to captain De Bruyne?
Definitely not. That was my captain in the last game week, and it actually paid off with the assist for Jesus' goal. And yeah, he's just. I'll be honest with you, like, because of how Arsenal have been this season, it sounds pathetic and sad saying this, but I actually, well, not pathetic, but I look forward to watching like Man City and Liverpool play because it's just good football and like really good. You know, De Bruyne is just like a pleasure to watch. And like I said, even the game they lost to United, he was still picking up the passes. And yeah, he's just, you know, he's on. He had those injury problems last season, but this season he's been on form, and he could have scored actually in the first half against Leicester. He had a couple of shots. Schmeichel made 2 really good saves, and he's just involved all the time and picking out those passes. So if you're looking, I don't know if you could say it's a differential captain, but if you're looking to take a bit of a calculated gamble, as I said before, I think De Bruyne could be a good shout.
We've got a real quick turnaround.
Very quick turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking Thursday. What's the day today? I've completely forgotten what the day is today. It's Wednesday.
Like Michael McIntyre sketch, isn't it? Where he just like, what day of the week is whatsoever. I confirm live on air now. It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. So Thursday we've got the Boxing Game fixtures, and then straight into Saturday. You're actually playing on Sunday versus Chelsea at home.
I know, yeah.
Wow, instant reaction to that.
Wow, it's just like, oh, look, it's one of those things where like, wow, it's bloody Chelsea at home. It is the game you look forward to, but it'll also be a very tough game considering now they played away to Tottenham last Sunday. Arteta's home debut as manager as well, so you'd like to think that the crowd will be really up for it and there'll be a bit of an atmosphere there. And I mean, I remember Youngberg's in his interim spell, his first game against Brighton, and the atmosphere was just non-existent once again, really. So I'm hoping that get a good result against Bournemouth and then they'll be buzzing against Chelsea. And I mean, I hate Chelsea. I'd love to see us stuff them over Christmas, like the proverbial Christmas turkey. But, you know, let's be honest here, they've been much better than us this season, so that'll be another tasty game and tough game.
Do you see, I mean, I know you're not looking at the screen right now and everything, but so we got Brighton versus Bournemouth, Newcastle Everton, Southampton Crystal Palace, Watford Aston Villa, Norwich Spurs, West Ham Leicester, Burnley Man United. That's all on Saturday, and then we got all the big teams on Sunday: Arsenal Chelsea, Liverpool Wolves, Man City, Sheffield United. My immediate thoughts are this is going to be one hell of a difficult captaincy pick. Brendan Rodgers has come out and said that he's definitely going to be giving Jamie Vardy a rest over the next few matches. We have no idea what that specifically means in the sense of which match that potentially could be. A lot of talk suggesting that it could be the West Ham game. Of all the fixtures there, Leicester away at West Ham does look like a very favourable one for captaining Vardy, but also Spurs away at Norwich, the potential captaincy of Kane. Your thoughts on Vardy and Kane versus Norwich and West Ham respectively?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, there's just so many games, and it's weird that they've got a 7:45 kickoff for Burnley Man United. But I know I'm going off topic a little bit, but yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the reasons of bringing in like some of the fixtures coming up away to Norwich. Norwich defensively haven't been brilliant this season. I know they've kind of raised their game against, as you say, the traditional top six, beating Man City back in September, drawing to all of us 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So yeah, I'd feel confident captaining Kane again, depending obviously how he does tomorrow afternoon against Brighton. And then, but on the flip side, like you say, you don't know when Vardy's going to be rested. He's not going to be rested tomorrow night, but against West Ham, you know, they've been pretty poor last few weeks, or this season in general. So when these fixtures pile up, it's when it gets really frustrating for FPL managers, because you don't know when they're going to rest and rotate. And I'd be going with Kane for that one.
Yeah, of course. Norwich are notorious for having a really bad defence. Dan, I want to selfishly talk about my team for a second, but more importantly, the transfer that I made, which was sun out, and I just immediately brought in Maddison. I've now regretted that. I honestly wish I'd brought in Pogba, based on what we said earlier, how well Pogba played on his substitute cameo. Do you think I've made a wise move in bringing in Maddison? Admittedly, his record versus the top six is actually very, very good.
Yeah, I was going to use your favourite word, allude to that, the fact that Maddison got the winner against Spurs, and then he got a goal against us in the 2-0 win. And yeah, he does seem to like to turn up for those big games at home. So, but yeah, I mean, going back to Pogba, I just got that feeling that from his sort of cameo sub appearance the other day against Watford and United needing to bounce back, you know, the pressure building on Solskjaer and whatnot, and just the way he played and just how important he is to United, that he could get some good returns over the next few game weeks. So if you're going to say to me Maddison or Pogba, I'd say Pogba, but obviously you've got, what is it, like another 0.7 million to get to Pogba. So yeah, I don't know. I can see why you're kind of worried about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like I said, I've got a captaincy dilemma. Do I go with Vardy? Do I go with Kevin De Bruyne? Do I go with the traditional Steve-O, which is always try and captain a player on the last game of the particular game week? And of course that would be, well, either Kevin De Bruyne or Jimenez. It's a tough one. I mean, Rashford at home. I mean, do you think that Rashford will benefit from Pogba's return?
Yeah, I was going to say that was part of my thinking. Well, part of my thought process at one point when I wanted to get Rashford in, because you know he was doing so well before, and then against Watford he was kind of out in a lot of wide positions, and he did get off a couple of shots sort of towards the end of the game, but he looked quite frustrated, and he was trying to do it all on his own, and Martial was kind of anonymous. But I think if you've got Pogba in there as well, you know, immediately that made a difference. So, yeah, I mean, I expect Newcastle to put up a brick wall again tomorrow at Old Trafford for the game. But, yeah, it could be... It was just getting Rashford in. I don't know. I kind of was thinking, well, I want to take a gamble on Kane, so I've kind of gone with that now. But, yeah, I think he could get some good returns for Rashford over the next few weeks.
We had FPL Hot Sauce on last night. He is in our Elite FPL Challenge League, the Cash Mini League. And he, along with potentially FPL Boona, could be bench boosting this game week because their team's just too strong to not have all their players playing. So just to let you know who his team is, it's up on the screen for anybody watching or anybody listening on audio. He's got Henderson in goal, Robertson, Gilbert, Mendy, De Bruyne, Maddison, Pogba, Grealish, Greenwood, Kane, Vardy, and then on the bench he's got Heaton, Lundstrom, Ali and Kelly. Dan, your opinion on using a chip early on in the season rather than using it in a double game week? Of course, FPL Boona last week or the week before, it was the week before, played his triple captaincy on Salah and it's just shot him up the rankings. Your opinion on using a chip early and your thoughts on bench boosting.
My initial thoughts is it's a little bit knee-jerk, but having said that, you know, like you said just about Boona then, you know, getting up the league by triple captaining. I mean, there was so many times last season, times when the double game week just didn't come to fruition and you'd like bench boost, and I keep thinking of, what was it, game week 30, double game week 32 or 33, when we all had Dunk and he just had that, he scored an own goal and they lost 5-0 at home to Bournemouth, so it can really backfire. So I think it's one of those ones, if you're doing crap in a mini league, like I am, let's be honest, it can kind of give you that little momentum for the rest of the season if you get a really good bench boost return for that particular week. But I don't know, I'm a bit sensible. I still think save it for a double game week, if I'm being honest. But a lot of this game is about having the cojones to do stuff like that. So yeah, we'll have to see how it works out, you know.
And of course, regarding for example, the triple captaincy chip, a lot of people, myself included, sometimes think that a triple captaincy is actually pointless during a double game week because a lot of people will be captaining the same player. So, for argument's sake, we are aware that obviously Liverpool have definitely got a double game week, and it would appear that would be against West Ham and Brighton. Of course, most people will probably triple captain either Mane or Salah, and it kind of just seems a bit of a waste considering that most people will captain one of those two anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say about Mane. That was one of the high points of last season when I triple captained him in a single game week at home to Huddersfield, and it obviously all been relegated, and he scored twice, I think it was, and that paid off. So yeah, I do see what you mean. I think there is a sort of tendency for people to go with the obvious option for a double game week and use a triple captain. So it just depends on your nearby rivals in your mini league, really. Like if somebody's already played their triple captain, and then you can kind of benefit from it. But you'd have to have, if that is the case for that double game week, you'd have to be quite, say the word patient, but you quite brave to not use it if that's going to be the fixtures, if you know what I mean. Because if you don't and they haul, then yeah, I don't know, we'll give you an advantage. So
I know we've already talked about the Arsenal game, but Alex Hanmore is asking about Arsenal players this particular game week. With Bournemouth having so many players out injured, he thinks that it's going to be a high scoring game. Your immediate thoughts on that opinion?
Well, the thing with it is, like I just said, I mean, you don't know what the starting lineup's going to be. Yeah, because Youngberg picked the team on Saturday afternoon, and Arteta's basically come out and said, look, it's going to be a fresh slate for everybody. And, you know, reading between the lines, you'd think maybe Ozil will get back in the team. Pepe's been in and out, you know, whether he's training well or not, I don't know. But I suppose the obvious one out of all of them, I mean, you're not really going to go for Aubameyang at the moment if you can't, you know, he's a bit restrictive in terms of his price. But I suppose the middle sort of stopgap between that is Lacazette, really. if he gets back in the team. So I'd probably wait and see how Arteta lines the team up tomorrow and keep an eye on that. And then maybe there could be some differentials in there, really. Hopefully, Lacazette gets back in the team because I think he offers a lot to the team. And, hopefully get some returns tomorrow.
Gavin Gould making a point about Lacazette, that if he starts, he will score. Do you think that Lacazette has a chance of actually starting alongside Aubameyang? We all know, I've asked you this before and I'll say it again, we all know that... sorry, just track of thought then. There's a question for you in a second, actually. We all know how well Aubameyang and Lacazette link up together. Do you think Arteta will just go for it and play those two up front?
I hope so. It is a bit frustrating, thinking to yourself, well, we've got this top striker and he's on the bench. Obviously something, maybe something's happened behind the scenes. Youngberg's been quite kind of, I don't know, he sort of made these decisions like, resting Pepe and sending out a message perhaps to some of the players there that, you need to work hard in the games, but he didn't play against Man City as well. So that was, and against West Ham as well, actually looking back through the fixtures in my mind. So, but it's Martinelli's been doing really well of the whole season so far. Martinelli's been the sort of shining light and the bright point of what's been a very poor season. So, I mean, I haven't got a crystal ball, but I would say if I was in Arteta's shoes, I'd get Lacazette back in, get him linking up with Aubameyang, and there's plenty of games for Martinelli to play, but just get Lacazette back in there. And if he does start tomorrow, I think he'll want to prove a point because Youngberg's still on the coaching staff. So, yeah, get your money on Lacazette to score tomorrow, and don't blame me if it goes wrong, basically.
We've had a question from someone we haven't heard on this show for a while. It's FPL Little Saints. He's saying, he's asking me, but I'm going to ask you, as you are going to be captaining him. He's thinking of triple captaining Kane against Brighton. Is it worth that risk?
Wow. Do you know why I laugh? Because I think it was one of the Bellamy brothers that triple captained him against Cardiff at home last season, and they won 1-0 in a very tight game. And I think everyone was expecting Spurs to batter Cardiff for some reason, because Cardiff had a really poor start to the season, and then it was just like a 1-0 win. So I wouldn't recommend triple captaining Kane at home to Brighton, because, like you said, I think, as I say, Brighton have been letting in a few goals away from home in the recent games, but I don't think it's that much of a concern to triple captain him. I think that would be a bit knee-jerk again, or a bit too much of a risk, really. Especially with that double game week coming up.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you there. Can I ask you, Dan? We've just had John Harris. Good evening, John. He's just joining us. He's working nights. He's actually working specifically tonight, and we all remember John from last year because, of course, once we set up the Elite FPL Community League, John went on and won it. This was the first time he'd ever played fantasy football last year. He incredibly, just looking at this is just madness, but he ended up 809th in the world. First ever season playing this. However, this year, it's completely crumbled around him, and he's, as it stands right now, 2.3 million. It's been a very, very strange season, so to speak. Your thoughts so far on the season as a whole? Obviously, Liverpool absolutely dominating, but not keeping clean sheets. Man City, God knows how many points they are behind Liverpool, and of course, there's no real consistent player in their team, barring Kevin De Bruyne. Chelsea, once one player starts scoring, then he starts blanking, then it's on to the next one. It seems to be trying to catch up with each bandwagon. How are you personally just finding this season? Are you finding it frustrating? Are you enjoying it? You've already mentioned the fact that, of course, you're not doing particularly great. I don't know where specifically you are in the Challenge League, but in the Tourbe Elite, a particular league, you are 18th. Your overall rank is 1.4 million, so you're a million places ahead of. I mean, looking at your game week history this year, it's just been red. I mean, no, I'm no one to speak because I've had a terrible year so far, but since game week 13, it has just been red arrows galore, barring in game week 16 when you got a cracking score of 72 points. Just to remind you, you captained. I can't even see who you captained. Oh, your vice captain played. So actually, that was when
Ali.
Mane didn't play and Ali came in. As
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you just your opinion so far in this season.
Oh, it's just like I'm trying to emulate these inconsistent teams. Like you said, up till game week 13, unlucky number, but it was going pretty well. To be honest with you, I was doing all right and was feeling quite confident and happy with it. It's funny you say about Mane because I do remember captaining him at home to Brighton. Not that I'm superstitious, but that was a game when he didn't get any returns, and Sterling at home to Chelsea when he scored a goal, but it was ruled out by VAR when it was about 0.1 millimeters offside. And I remember celebrating that goal and then just being like, VAR, bloody hell. So it's just been very frustrating. And like you said, apart from that one very good game week, it's just been poor. It's been relegation form, and Arsenal obviously not, having a very bad season. One of the worst, sort of like the worst season I've known. Things can only get better as the song goes, but yeah, it's just been one of those seasons where it was like when I was thinking about Abraham earlier. I was like, okay, so logic should dictate that he will do well at home against Southampton. But then I had the same logic at home to Bournemouth, and like with Pulisic, it's just when you talk about these, when you break them down and you say, right, Captain Mane at home to Brighton, that should be a perfectly logical decision. But it's just, I don't know, it's just a strange, very strange season when things like that happen. When Bournemouth are, they've got lots of injuries and they go away to Chelsea and win, and just things like that happen. And you just kind of. This particular game week, I mean, in the context of our mini league, obviously I don't know what the transfers are for my rivals, but Zaha and Kane are, if you like, differentials, as far as I know at the moment, So that's what I've just been doing, looking at the teams in and around me and trying to second guess their strategy, really. That's what I'm doing at the moment. Zaha, once again, that's a bit of a, does feel like a bit of a punt, whereas Kane's more of a calculated gamble. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have these patches throughout the season where I do quite well and then I drop off. So I'm kind of used to it. But I'm just annoyed that I went out the cup to my opponent who got 85 points.
I'm literally looking at that right now. And then of course the following game week, because he's a dead team, he doesn't play the game. Following game week, he's been knocked out and he only got 27 points. 9 of those points, in fact, I'm sorry to go backwards, but 9 of those points came from Thier. Thier, of course, an FPL legend, so to speak. He's 5.7, guaranteed starter for Everton. Is Thier someone worth looking to bring in?
I think he. I was, because Sidibe's been doing quite well recently as well, 5.3 million. But I mean, you say he's like a FPL. I think he's more like a pantomime villain. If you remember when he got sent off against Southampton, and then he scored a bloody own goal against Brighton for Brighton in the last minute of injury time. But yeah, obviously, he's had some other good, hauls, like when he got the the free kick against Watford at home last season, and different games where he's done really well. I mean, like I said, with those games coming up for Everton, new manager and everything, not a bad differential shout, but just got to watch out for those red cards and own goals.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. Angus Gordon is saying that Sky Sports are predicting that Man City are going to win their game versus Wolves 4-2. Again, predicting a very high scoring game there. I can't quite see that whatsoever. But we were talking about John Harris here, and obviously you're a fan of Bournemouth. We'd just like to see Bournemouth in general do well. He's mentioning Callum Wilson. Of course, he returned. Your thoughts on maybe Callum Wilson being an option moving forward?
I know I'm going to sound like a stuck rapper. It's probably because it's Christmas, and that's like when I've had boring times throughout the day, I've just been looking at my team and like doing loads of different kind of permutations, transfers. Wilson are considered as well, but because Bournemouth's fixtures, I mean, he could get a goal tomorrow, but after our game tomorrow, they are good. And obviously last season it was the whole Fraser Wilson link up, and I think I had them in away to Huddersfield one game and they both returned and it was really good. But for me, it's like Wilson, it's like I didn't get on the gravy train with him early on last season. When I got him in, he didn't return. Took him out and he started returning again. So I don't know how other people feel about this, but I always have certain things either for or against certain players based on the history I've had with them in or out of my team. So, but yeah, I mean, decent option, to be honest with you, at 7.4. It's not a bad shout.
Yeah, their next fixtures, of course, Arsenal at home, Brighton away, and then they've got West Ham, Watford, Norwich, Brighton and Aston Villa. So maybe certainly somebody to keep an eye on. Of course, a player that had, I know you're a huge fan of England and everything, England credentials and maybe potentially, unlikely, forcing his way as a starter for England maybe?
Well, I mean, it's good. This is the weird thing. It's the Arsenal fan that comes on the podcast and like the Harry Kane fan club. But obviously, Kane's like the main striker for England. Abraham trying to get in there. But let's be honest here, Steve. Like, you've got Danny Ings and Vardy scoring loads of goals. But obviously, Vardy's retired from England, unfortunately. And Danny Ings hasn't really had much of a look in before. But yeah, Callum Wilson had a look in before. Maybe if he does well in those games, obviously a lot of players want to get into the squad for the Euros, so does well in those games, might get the nod.
Alex here making the point that Alex Hamill making the point that how much have Bournemouth? I mean, he is a Bournemouth fan, he says, but he's saying that how much have they missed Brooks this season?
Yeah, but I mean, like last season, he was a great kind of budget midfield option to have, and watching him play, not much to him physically, but he's a very skillful player with his turns and everything, and the way he was linking up, with Callum Wilson, and yeah, he was, he was really good, but unfortunately got that injury. I think they are missing his credit a lot, and they just had bad luck with injuries as well. Ake is a big presence at the back and a defender that, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't mind seeing at Arsenal, really. So I think they've been unlucky in that sense, really. But Eddie Howe seems to kind of, I just hope they don't get in a kind of a relegation scrap. But like I said, they seem to pull off these great results against the bigger teams. So hopefully they can do some more of that and pick it up. But yeah, Brooks definitely, we say about international, he's a Wales international, and very talented player.
Jack Pendlebury is asking me specifically, am I going to be keeping Henderson after this game week? Of course, Sheffield United this year have just been an extraordinary team. Whatever people may think of their formation setup, but Chris Wilder has done an absolutely outstanding job. The next two fixtures after Watford is Man City, Liverpool. Dan, your thoughts on Sheffield United this year? They're fifth as it stands. It's just incredible.
Just brilliant. I mean, I watched them obviously against us, and they beat us 1-0, and then the game against Man United when it was 3-3, and they just play good football. You know, they work hard, they've got a system, they're disciplined, but it's not just about that. The players link up really well, and it's good football to watch as well, really. And I think Chris Wilde has done a really good job, and he's got like a work ethic in them, that the fact that, you know, he's not going to praise them for working hard because that's the bare minimum, and he sort of sets that standard. And they obviously haven't been in the Premier League for some time. You know, even at home to Liverpool and Leicester, only narrow defeats, and defensively they've obviously, you know, been very strong. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, at the start of the season I was writing off the promoted teams quite candidly, but they've kind of proved me wrong, really. I mean, I was in the pub last night talking to a Villa fan, and we were just saying about who could get relegated. It is quite hard to pick 3 teams, really. But yeah, Sheffield United, I think Chris Wilde has done a fantastic job.
I want to address this point because I know you will have a bit to say on this, but Alex Hanmore is saying, thanks for talking about Bournemouth, and I like it when talk about what I enjoy, obviously. I will subscribe and watch more video. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas, guys. No, thank you, Alex, but at the end of the day, this is what we're here for, isn't it? I know you're a special guest host tonight, but this is what we're here for, isn't it, Dan? It's just to talk essentially football, but linking it in with fantasy football.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. It's you know, when you sat on the FPL app or looking on the website and looking at the stats and the returns and everything, but it is all about the eye test in my mind, and the real football, and just linking it back. And that's what people want to hear about, and everyone's got like a different view on the game. And even when I looked at your team before we come on air, and I was thinking, God, I wish I had a certain player, but then I was like, well, look, I've made my decision, and that's what makes it such a bloody addictive game. Even though it's like, you know, I did this last season, I'd be like, I want to quit the game, and then you get a good game week and you get a differential captain in there and you're buzzing and you just think, I love playing FPL. And but that's what it's all about. And obviously Christmas Day, Christmas evening, what better thing to talk about than FPL, really?
I know you want to get going, and I'll be ending the stream in a second. But so overall, you're relatively confident ahead of the Arsenal game versus Bournemouth?
No. Arsenal away are never confident. You know, Arsenal could be away to San Marino, and I'd be worrying. Or that would be a bit of a weird fixture. But no disrespect to San Marino, but no, I'm confident. Like I say, just because it's, you know, Arteta's in and he seems to be saying all the right things and hoping that the players will come back.
Sorry to interject, Dan. It's been a week now or so since Arteta's managerial appointment. Have you changed your opinion on him? Are you a bit more optimistic?
I think I was fairly optimistic when I came on, really. You know, it's early days. I mean, everyone can say the right thing. When they come in, he seems very enthusiastic, and it sounds sad, but I watched like a little clip on social media of him doing the training, talking the players through, and he's certainly got the enthusiasm and very hands-on with the players, and perhaps doing some new training methods as well. And I think it's just hoping that it's like a fresh start for the players, and they can kind of go out there and express themselves a bit more. And I think, you know, I've got nothing against Unai Emery, and I think, you know, he's a very sort of honourable gentleman and tried his best, and it worked well for a certain part last season. But I think there was the communication issue, it seemed to be, whereas Arteta's been very clear with his communication and seems very positive, and he's going to come and then hopefully just get the players and the fans back together, because it has been quite negative this season. I think he wants to kind of lift the team back up and get some of the Arsenal spirit back in. And Yeah, it's all positive talk now, but we'll see what happens at 3:00 tomorrow. But yeah, I'll stick to my guns and say 2-1 Arsenal.
Dan, it's been a pleasure you coming on, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve. And like I said, Merry Christmas to everyone watching on the live stream now and on the replay as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that calls it a wrap, everybody. Like I said, it was only going to be a quick hour or so stream. I wanted to get to bed. Dan's wanting to get to bed. It is Christmas Day after all. And like I say, I just thought it'd be worth doing for tonight only. As ever, I'll just do the quick admin and then we can all get off and wait about 12 hours for the next stream. But yes, if you've enjoyed the stream, it's the usual. Yeah, exactly. It's the usual story. Just simply hit the like button. It's the easiest way to show your support. If you are completely brand new around here and you've enjoyed tonight's stream, as ever, as I always say, we are pretty much a daily streaming service regarding all things fantasy football. The next, God knows how many days, weeks coming up, we are going to be doing quite a lot, which beautifully links me into tomorrow. So tomorrow, it's going to be a bit of a unique experience for a lot of people watching. I know some of our hardcore viewers will know what to expect because you all saw it on Twitch, but this time it's going to be on YouTube. We will be covering with several different correspondents all of the 3 p.m. kickoffs tomorrow on Boxing Day. For anybody that has no idea which specific games they are, I will quickly go over them just quickly. They are Aston Villa versus Norwich, Bournemouth Arsenal, Chelsea Southampton, Crystal Palace West Ham, Everton Burnley, Sheffield United versus Watford. We will be covering all of them. I personally have no idea what's going to be happening regarding covering the Man United versus Newcastle game or Leicester versus Liverpool. I know for a fact that I will not be available for Leicester versus Liverpool. There's a chance that Jason may cover the Man United Newcastle stream. Again, it's the classic thing of, at the end of the day, we do a lot of impromptu streams, and I know you guys enjoy those impromptu streams, so to speak. But again, you can all watch it along with us. It is all on Amazon Prime. Thankfully, due to the fact that they have given us a free, let's be honest, a free trial for a month, we have been able to watch for one weekend or one midweek game week. We were able to watch it all, and now this particular game week on Boxing Day, we're able to watch it as well all together. And like I say, tomorrow there are going to be quite a lot of us doing this, corresponding on the particular games, and it's going to be all a bit of fun. And yeah, other than that, you can follow us through social media, of course, Twitter at Elite FPL. Of course, Dan, do you want to tell us about Instagram, mate?
Yeah, Instagram, obviously, Elite FPL. And yeah, just keep an eye on the stories, really. I do obviously update it as much as I can. Pretty much you guys do a lot of impromptu streams, so I don't cover it all the time, but it's just another way to connect with us and keep in touch and be part of the Elite FPL Instagram community. Any suggestions for any improvement on it, let me know. But yeah, just keep in touch and guess the songs in the stories and see what the next one is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't personally use Instagram. I haven't got Instagram anymore, but Dan has kindly taken over our Instagram account, and as he's just mentioned there, he does use it quite actively. So if you do have any inquiries or suggestions, essentially what Dan used to say, any feedback, if you have any feedback on the shows or anything, and you want to talk to him via Instagram, by all means contact him on that. That's at Elite FPL. Of course, the way Dan has been able to talk to us is through Discord. The link is underneath me. It's down the bottom there. You'll see the link in the description. I'm sure one of our moderators will be more than happy to post the link. But if you do want to come live on air, me and Jason are more than happy to take anybody live on air, to be honest with you. All you've got to do is get into the waiting room and we will have a conversation talking all things football, all things fantasy football, etc, etc. Other than that, all I can say is have a good evening, everybody. There's only a couple more hours to go until Boxing Day officially starts, and then 12 hours later, well, actually 11 hours later, it's going to be the the Boxing Day deadline, and there's a chance, a very, very small chance, I really don't think I will be, but there is a small chance that there could be a deadline day special. But to be honest with you, I think tomorrow's going to be a very, very long day indeed. So certainly stay tuned for when we're going to be going live for the 3 p.m. kickoffs. Other than that, cheers for joining us, guys, and once again, happy Christmas, and we'll get the elf just to say goodbye. There he is, he's waving, everybody. Wave to the elf. Cheers, guys, and see you tomorrow afternoon. Cheers, Dan.
Cheers.